And when I do in movies, sometimes I'm like, I wonder if that was an unscripted moment. Hey everyone, welcome back to Rupees Over Ramen, the show where we talk about animation, creativity, the creative process, and tons of other nerdy stuff. So today we are talking about the unscripted moments that happen in animated movies. Also, they happen in live action movies. Unscripted or improv moments are when the actor or voice actor improvs like in that moment. So they're given a script and the director's like, here's your script. This is how I wrote it. Like, do it. These are the kind of ways that you say these words. Like, we want a British accent for this character. And then they would do that. Or they're like, you shall not pass. We want that gravelly voice for this character. So with that, it happens in animation that you have a scene, it's written out, and then the actor does something that wasn't planned. And maybe they make some weird sound or they say something weird like, I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora? And then the director's like, usually starts laughing and is like, dang, that is good. That is gold. And we are going to take that and we're going to use that in our movie, okay? So with this idea of unscripted moments, it has a lot to do with the actor. And that's one reason why I feel like in animation, voice acting is so cool because you can get the personality of that actor. Tom Holland is a really good example of that. He played in Onward. And Chris Pratt, I did an episode on my YouTube channel about Chris Pratt as Mario, but he was also Barley Lightfoot. His brother Ian was Tom Holland. And you can really get their personality and who they are. Even though they're playing a character, you still get a little bit of them and who they are. And it really makes like a huge difference. I've been doing some research about it, and some places say it's a risky technique, but it makes a lot of entertaining content. And I, for one, love improv comedy. And with that, one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was when I was at university. In high school, I did college. In high school, I did theater. I really wanted to get back into that when I was at university. I was studying art and animation and film a little bit, but I wasn't really in music and I wasn't really doing anything with theater. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I signed up for an acting class. Just quick story time. I was leaving one of the buildings on campus and there was like one of those black box theaters. If you know, it's kind of like the black floors, black wall. There's tons of like gaff tape and other tape on the ground. And the door was open. So I walk in and I'm like, wow. And I was just taken back to that moment in high school doing musical theater. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. I want to try this out. I want to get into this a little bit more. So I signed up for an acting class and it was a super awesome experience. My professor was super cool. And then with that, it gave me the encouragement to try out for an improv comedy group on campus, which kind of relates to the idea of unscripted lines in movies and unscripted comedy. With that, it's kind of funny because the group is called Unscripted. And in it, you were given kind of like lines, so to say. You're given a scenario or something that's happening, like a guessing game, or like you freeze and you take someone's position and take over the scene. It was really fun and it was really cool to kind of be a different person, try out different roles, different voices, a lot of British voices. It's one of my favorite accents, and try that out and try out like kind of what actors do. With doing improv, I learned a lot about comedy, and with me, it's really hard to get me to laugh. And when I do in movies, sometimes I'm like, I wonder if that was an unscripted moment or an improv moment by that actor. Because with unscripted moments, we're going to kind of go over some. This comes from Screen Rant, so go checking out their website. But one of them is in Toy Story, one of the best lines, "You are a sad, strange little man." So this was improvised. Woody is giving this lecture about what it means to be a toy. Tim Allen just improv this and improved a little bit more on Buzz's character, which I think gave Buzz a lot of personality and a lot of life. This thing is kind of like taboo, but like AI and like writing scripts and doing voices, robots doing acting, things like this. But you lose that human aspect. You lose that improv, that like imperfections. It's kind of funny. I've been watching She-Ra, and one of the things that one of the characters says in that, I don't remember the exact line, but it's about how imperfections are beautiful. And imperfections they make us who we are. And like like with Toy Story and them leveling it up as they went on, they added more of those imperfections, like Woody's shoulder being a little ripped, showing that wear and tear of the characters. So it wasn't like this polished like 3D look. And imperfections, they are beautiful. Another one that people love is Johnny Depp. I love Johnny Depp. Like, he's really good with improving scenes. And one of the things is the Jar of Dirt song where he's like, I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. You never guess what's inside it. Something like that. And it's a really funny moment where I was like, okay, you're pretty good. This is pretty good. Pretty good series. And with those improv moments, going back to being in an improv group, you have different actors, a cast that you are working with. And when voice actors are working on this, it's interesting with voice acting because, and yeah, this podcast episode's going to have a little bit, some tangents, but all kind of centered around the same idea of voice acting, improv, unscripted type stuff. So with that, with some animated shows, like with the Owl House, for instance, some of the actors never see each other in person. Maybe they're in different states or whatever, recording those lines. It's an interesting like dynamic with that, because other times, like with Toy Story, there you have the behind the scenes of like Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and they're in different areas of the studio so that they don't pick up each other, but they can still hear each other over their headset, and they're able to react to each other and what they're saying. And a little bit of the same thing with doing English dubs of anime, except the voice actors are watching the anime. Like the voice actor for Ash, she would watch the anime and see how the mouth moves and then kind of create the lines from that. So there's a lot of like acting, involved in acting and like reacting to and playing off of. There's this thing called yes and what it's about is instead of something is growing and going and going and going, instead of being like, nope, and just letting it die, you're like, yes, and this. So it's like someone's like, you're doing an improv scene and they're like, Tommy, I can't believe you ran away from home. And then you're like, yeah, I did. And I found the master sword. And then you're like, whoa. And then this is going in a different direction and you're building off of each other. And that's what actors are doing. Even though there's a script, they're building off of each other, building off each other's energy. And that's why I think it's really cool doing interviews and videos and stuff like that, working with other people, because you're able to build off of them. There's so many. One of them is Howl's Moving Castle, is a really awesome example of characters building off of each other. The voice actor for Howl was Christian Bale, who plays Batman, which is pretty awesome. He also is in Newsies as Jack Kelly. And all of those, I don't know a lot of the other voice actors, but throughout watching the film, you can see how they're playing off of each other and acting out those lines. And the English dub is actually pretty awesome. It's pretty great. Improv is, I've watched some stand-up routines. I've watched scripted comedy, like in BYU they have Studio C is kind of like a big one. Then like late night shows also have some scripted comedy, but I love unscripted comedy. And being a part of that group was something that I thought I could never do. But then in doing it, I realized that we can do so many amazing things and like we can accomplish so many great things. Just going with that idea of improv lines. One of the characters that a lot of people have really loved a lot is Olaf from Disney's Frozen and Frozen 2. And he was played by Josh Gad. And Josh Gad is a super awesome actor. And a lot of his jokes were ad-libbed. And with that, they had to make sure that they would be able to match the visemes, like the mouth movements basically of the character. And it's just so cool, like learning about the different things that voice actors go through and like characters go through, and growing these characters and making them into something. Another huge unscripted actor, basically an improv actor, I guess you could say, is Hades from Disney's Hercules. And there was this interesting thing where the original casting of Hades was going to be this actor that was going to play the role of kind of like really serious, like slow talking, like threatening character. He'd be like, yeah, I'm Hades. But then they got the actor James Woods that eventually stepped in, and he's like, yeah, I'm Hades. And he's kind of like this con man, and he talks super fast, and he's a totally different character, but so many people love him. People cosplay as him. He's like huge at Disney World. And it gave this character like a different, Screen Rant calls it a different spin, but it gave this character a different voice. It gave this character a different perspective. And it kind of goes back to the last episode of Into the Spider-Verse with the different versions of Spider-Man, each one of them is different. And a character can be played and portrayed differently by different actors. And that's why I find the Spider-Man movies so cool, because you see all these different types of Spider-Man and different actors that play him. Another person is Link from The Legend of Zelda. And no, he does not talk. I know. It'd be interesting if they had a voice actor for him to talk, but they have voice actors, some Japanese guys and then some Japanese girls that have done like the ha ha yeah, and they do those voices for Link. And each one of them is different. Like one is for young Link, and then Toon Link, and then adult Link. If you haven't played Legend of Zelda, go play it. It's awesome. It's a super awesome game. But with all those, the actors in the cast, even if something is improv'd, it makes the scene. It makes it different. It makes it unique because you are unique. And that's kind of what I wanted to end with, is that each and every one of us is unique. Like no one can be exactly like you. You are the only person who can be exactly like you. And with tying that into animation, each character is different. Each voice actor is different. And these characters help build the story. And then they're placed into these worlds like Harry Potter into Hogwarts, Star Wars into, I don't know if they have a name for space for that, or the Death Star, Darth Vader on the Death Star. It would be totally different if you take Darth Vader, this like brooding character, and then you put him into like Diagon Alley or something, or into like Fred and George's joke shop, and then like see how he reacts to that environment. That's why improv is so cool, because you'd be like, okay, I'm an archer, I'm like level 51, like elven ranger dude, and then the audience is like, okay, we are placing you in like Pretty Princess Magical Kingdom, and then you're like, oh snap, and you're like super uncomfortable. While if you were in the woods, you would be like, I am in my element, this is great. And that's the cool thing with stories, is seeing the characters in different situations. And that's why I love stories, is so you can see how people react and how we as people take that in and how it impacts us. So I know this episode was a little bit all over the place, but I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, or hear, I guess, more episodes like this, then leave a comment on my YouTube channel or send an email or whatever works best for you. And I really enjoyed this. So hope you guys did as well, and get out there, make something awesome. See you guys next time. Bye. Also, by the way, I thought it'd be interesting. So this whole episode was basically improv'd, boom shakalaka, to unscripted and improvisational-ish. But guys, cheers. See you next Saturday.